We're about to look at one of the largest machines ever built. And when I say large, I don't just mean big. I'm talking about a land-moving giant that completely redefines the word scale. To even wrap our heads around what we're dealing with here, let's just start with the weight. We are looking at 14,200 tons. That is over 31 million pounds. It's a number so huge, it's honestly hard to even picture. And look, this isn't some back-of-the-napkin math. This is on the books. Guinness World Records officially certified this thing as the heaviest land vehicle on the planet. It is entirely in a class of its own. So, here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll talk about that world record. Then, we'll try to grasp its staggering size. After that, we'll get under the hood, look at the anatomy of this giant, its raw power, and what it actually does day in and day out. And finally, we'll talk about what a machine like this really represents. Alright, first things first. Let's get a clear picture of this mechanical monster. What exactly is the Bagger 293? Well, technically speaking, it's a giant bucket wheel excavator. Think of it as a mobile mining machine, just scaled up to a level that's almost impossible to believe. Its entire reason for existing is to just chew through the earth in massive open-pit mines. So, where did it come from? It was built back in 1995 by a German industrial company called Takraf. Right now, it's owned by RWE Power AG, and you'll find it hard at work in the Hambach coal mine over in Germany. This thing has literally been reshaping the landscape for decades. Okay, we know it's heavy. But what about the physical footprint? This is where the numbers get a little mind-bending. Let's start with the height. The Bagger 293 stands 96 meters tall. That is 315 feet, straight up from the dirt. To give you some real-world perspective, that's basically the same height as Big Ben in London. Just try to picture that entire clock tower, but as a machine that drives around and devours the earth. And it's not just tall, it is incredibly long. End to end, we're talking 225 meters, 738 feet. Think about that. That's roughly the length of 2 full-sized football fields laid end to end. At that point, you're not really looking at a vehicle anymore. It's more like a rolling industrial complex. So we know it's enormous. But how on earth does a machine this size actually get the job done? Let's look at the anatomy. The beating heart of this rig is its bucket wheel. I mean, this thing is massive. It's over 21 meters across, and it's armed with 18 huge buckets around the outer edge. And each one of those buckets can scoop up 15 cubic meters of dirt and rock in a single pass. The whole operation is just this constant, powerful cycle. The wheel spins, the buckets tear into the ground, they scoop it all up and dump it onto an internal system of conveyor belts that carries it away. It is a relentless, brutally efficient system. Now, as you can probably guess, a rig this big needs an unbelievable amount of juice. So, let's talk about what it takes to power this beast and what it actually gets done in a day. To get this giant up and running, it needs 16.56 megawatts of electricity. And get this, it doesn't even have its own engine. It actually has to be plugged into an external power source. So, what does 16.56 megawatts look like? Well, we're talking about enough electricity to power a small city. All of that power funneled right into this one single machine. But here is the truly crazy part. Despite using enough power for a whole town, and despite its colossal size, the Bagger 293 is operated by a tiny crew of just 5 guys. That's it. 5 people sitting at the controls of a 31 million pound giant. So, with all that power, what's the payoff? In a single day, this machine can move 240,000 cubic meters of earth. That is almost 8.5 million cubic feet of dirt and rock, every single day, day in and day out. You know, when you really step back and look at it, the Bagger 293 isn't just heavy equipment. It represents something much, much bigger about what we are actually capable of building. At the end of the day, it's not just about mining. It's a physical monument to human ambition, a testament to our ability to dream up and then actually build, something on a scale that's almost beyond comprehension. So let's recap. You've got one of the largest land vehicles ever made, a true monument to industrial engineering that can literally change the shape of the Earth. And the whole thing is run by a crew smaller than a starting basketball lineup. And that leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? We have the ability to build things on this scale, to create machines that can literally move mountains. So, what does it actually mean for us to hold the power to reshape the very face of our own planet?